me to the panel, Dr. Otto Francis. Can we give him a round of applause? Dr. Otto Francis is the manager, Knowledge Hub for Regional University Forum for Capacity Building in Agriculture. This is a network of 161 countries present in 40 African countries. The secretariat of this network is based in Uganda. Before that, he was a senior higher education officer at National Council for Higher Education. And also before that, he's a former head of department of this very department and also a lecturer at Uganda Christian University. So you're welcome, sir. Okay, so I'm going to teach you, since our hands don't want to clap, I'm going to teach you a way of appreciating people. So I say 3 bosa for Dr. Otto, and then you say bosa, bosa, bosa. Can we try that? So 3 bosas for Dr. Otto. Thank you. Another of our panelists is Madam Justine Mukalere. You heard from her earlier on. She's the acting head of department for computing and technology. She's been doing an amazing job in the absence of our boss. Her research interest is in e-health, M&E, and artificial intelligence for health. 3 bosas for Madam Justine. Next, we have Andrew Tugume. He was here earlier on, and we'll be interacting with him. He has introduced himself. He works with Outbox. He's concerned with learning and community. So I believe that he's in the right place, and we are going to have the right questions. And then finally, we have someone that is very dear to our heart, as you see. He's not part of us, but almost every time we call him, he's been available. Mr. Solomon Opio. He's the lead at Binary Garage and the lead at Startup Africa Road Trip and the tech community lead. He's going to tell us more about himself. We are very happy to have Mr. Opio here. He has supported several student innovations. He is a mentor to several young innovators, and we are very happy. So 3 bosas for Mr. Opio. So I'm going to be moderating this session. The aim of this session is just to enlighten us and see how we can further whatever we are doing here. After this exhibition, what next? So we are hoping that our panelists will share insights, okay, on what next. How can we make this bigger? How can we amplify this one-day event? I'm going to start with Dr. Otto, and I just want you, sir, to tell us about AI generally. When we talk about AI, when we talk about robotics, it's like there are so many fancy words we are throwing in there. What is AI and robotics for multidisciplinary research?
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to say I'm very excited to be here and to know that our students are doing wonderful work, particularly in the area of multidisciplinarity. When I walked around, I saw that you're working in groups, and the group that emphasizes, the various groups that I have seen, at least I've demonstrated the interdisciplinary nature in terms of the composition. Today we are talking about 3 key things. I know that you asked me to talk about AI, but I wanted to bring into perspective, first of all, the issue of data science, and then the issue of robotics, and then how do we put this in terms of interdisciplinary research. Of course, let me first talk about AI. When we talk about artificial intelligence, the kind of intelligence that is made by human beings, not the natural intelligence. Because you know that each one of us is born with the intelligence. That's the natural intelligence. But there is something that we can build, particularly into the machines. And that's what we call the artificial intelligence. And this has got a lot to do with the machine learning, has got a lot to do with the big data, has got a lot to do with the, how to make machines mimic or replicate or do things that human beings are supposed to do. So then I go quickly to why do we need data science, why do we need robotics, and how this helpful in carrying out multidisciplinary research. First of all, when we talk about data science, like in every other science, you know that you need to perform some analysis. We are, around us, we have a lot of data. So when we talk about big data, so much, massive data. But how do we analyze data for actionable insights? How do we analyze big data so it can inform our action? So it's a very important aspect of data science. Then also determining the correct data sets and variables. What is it that you can work with in order to make decisions? I was looking at some of the work there, one of the works that you have displayed, using online data to inform the technology that guides the visually impaired people. So this is about how to use data and make more meaning out of it to help solve the problem. And then collecting these large data sets to be able to use. Because when you talk about artificial intelligence, or you talk about robotics, or talk about big data, the central point is about data. How can it inform action? And then having the data, of course you can't use data in any form. You need to clean them, you need to validate the data, and you need to ensure that they are correct and accurate and so on. And then also, of course, devising and applying models and algorithms of how to use this. So I think for those who are interested in the modern digital technologies, especially those involved in artificial intelligence, robotics, and so on, it is really, really important. And then I think I need also to put to you something which you refer to as the data science life cycle. What is it that you have to do in order to effectively use data or understand the data science? There are some stages that are well defined for every data science action that you take. One is about capturing. How do you acquire data? How do you make proper entry of the data into systems that you will use to process and guide you in whatever you're going to do? Then two, maintaining the data. How do you maintain the data that you want to use in terms of warehousing, cleaning, and staging, and so on? But also the third part of it will be processing. How do you cluster the data? How do you do the mining and so on? And then the third part, the fourth stage in the data life cycle, the data science life cycle will be an analysis. How do you analyze data? Are you going to do exploratory analysis? Are you going to do predictive analysis? Are you going to do regression and so on? How do you analyze data to make meaning? Because just looking at the data, whether it is clean or not, if you don't analyze it, cannot give you any insight on how to effectively use it. Then second, the last one, communication. How do you communicate this reporting, visualization, and so on? So I've seen that many of you are involved in manipulating data, and then particularly those who are using robotics, you have additional question to answer. What is it that you're going to use when it comes to robotics? Of course, you also talk about interdisciplinarity. You're talking about how to make machines replicate or substitute for human action. So how do you effectively use this? There is what all of you need to know. Why do we use robotics? It is important that giving the intelligence to the machine, what we're calling the AI, is something important, because a machine without intelligence cannot do what human beings do, or cannot replicate the action that human beings are supposed to take. Yeah, but while doing this, and for those of you who are upcoming scientists, you need to understand that there are laws, there are rules that you need to follow. And for robotics, I want to emphasize three things that you need to understand. First is that robots, whatever it is, for whatever purpose, must never be used to harm human beings. That's rule number one. Then rule number two is that robots must follow the instruction from human beings without violating the first rule. Okay? Then rule number three is that robots must protect themselves, of course, without violating these other two rules. So, if you are going to use robots, I was asking somebody about, particularly this one, which was talking about the visually impaired people using goggles that are, trained to be intelligent. But how will you do that without intrusive action with respect to human beings and so on? So you have got to know this. Then finally, we're talking about interdisciplinary research. How do you bring together two or more disciplines into one specific solution that you want to make? How do you make use of the knowledge from the various sources, from various fields? I know that I've seen where agriculture is talking to the computing. I know where the law, the legal people are talking with the computing in some of the research products that you have been displaying. And I know others are talking about using the digital, the technology and health. This is the kind of thing that we emphasize. So once again, to say that yes, you can use these tools, the artificial intelligence, you can use the robotics, you can use the data science in order to get a meaningful solution through interdisciplinary research. So thank you very much, and I hope that you can then ask any question based on the kind of things that I've said. I've mentioned so many things without any particular order anyway. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Otto. We're going to have, after we hear from the panelists, we're going to open it up to questions, comments, contributions. So just in case you have any question or comment or contribution, you can note it down when we get to that part of this panel discussion. As Dr. Otto was speaking, I saw Madam Justine looking like she had something to say. So I'm going to allow her speak about the same topic, but I want her to now also bring it to the context of the UCU students. When we talk about AI, when we talk about robotics for interdisciplinary research, what does that mean to the UCU students?
Okay, thank you. First, to start with, Dr. Otto has done justice to the elaborative bit of trying to detail artificial intelligence and what robotics really is. But when we come now to our setting, the student setting, academia per se, you will now start to realize that in addition to just us seeing all these equipment around us, all these equipment which can help us do certain things, we are also now, as academics, trying to not only use, but be the people to actually sit behind the wheel and drive. And so we are going past just applying the tools that are there to now using the research that we are doing, to using the information that we have at hand from the different projects that we have, to actually come up with innovative solutions in that regard. And so to a UCU student, to UCU in this context, AI, artificial intelligence, should now mean more of how do I actually use this to help me study better? How do I use this to help me navigate this and the other? How do I use this to generate a solution or build a solution that will serve my country, that will serve the nation, that will impact community? And so now we are seeing the need of actually going past being an island of academia, but integrating with the industry. Because now in the industry, that's where the problem is. In the industry, that is where the actual market is. In the industry, that is where the actual partners are. And so with the technology that you have, with the knowledge that you have, with all these devices, now we are going into the linkage, the partnerships, bringing the different business people on board, bringing the lawyers on board. Artificial intelligence in its regard has actually generated a number of questions on ethics, a number of legal questions. How far do I go with my tool? What can it do? What can't it do? What should it do? What shouldn't it do? According to whichever law that governs that locality where that tool is going to be disseminated, where that tool is going to be deployed. And so for us now as UCU, going past saying now this is computing and technology, that's why now you realize the Praxis projects are bringing different disciplines on board. We are bringing the lawyers on board, we are bringing the business people, the agriculture people, we are bringing arts on board, because then they understand the certain dynamics that we may not have just as computing. So making it interdisciplinary brings a lot of rich information on board that can make this tool, this AI tool, this robotic tool to actually apply in community without infringing on those rights of the users that we have.
Thank you very much, Ma. I see Andrew has something to add, so please let's hear from Andrew.
Yeah, thank you so much. I started artificial intelligence and machine learning, and I lead the Data Science Network Uganda. So I'm just saying that so that you people can trust me, because I'm from speaking about what? NSSF things, so you might think I don't know what I'm saying. Yeah, so as she was speaking, I felt making this thing easy for some of you here, especially when it comes to cutting disciplines. Data science or data science is a lifestyle, whether you are a student or whoever. Right now, that gentleman with the camera is collecting data, but the data he is collecting is sound and video, right? He's going to go to the next step, which we call data cleaning, manipulation, preparation, but for them they call it editing, isn't it? So after that, you do what we call visualization. Doctor here will use a graph, a chart, but for them they are going to put it on our TVs and we are going to enjoy the what? The pictures. But it's the same exact concept. When you go to the doctor, he picks your data, right? Your temperature, your weight. Then he plays with it. He gives you what we call a diagnosis, but that is called predictive analytics in doctor's words. He's saying, from what I'm seeing, I predict you have some what? Some malaria. So data science is everywhere. When you go to a tailor, he's going to collect your data, which is your height, your everything. And then after collecting that, he's going to go through it and manipulate it. And say, some of them, they even visualize, they can sketch and say, I think your suit should look like this, right? That is data science. Smart tailors, for them, they even predict and say most people in Uganda, they wear medium. So they put t-shirts on the market which are all medium and a few large. But that is a prediction from the data they are what? They have been collecting. If you are a student, you also look for your way of collecting, manipulating, visualizing, and predicting. Those are the 4 layers of what? Of data science. In business, before I came here in the morning, I left a dashboard. It's called Power BI. It's called Business Intelligence. When you guys sign into our academy, we capture all your data, everything. We pass it through that thing called Power BI, we organize it, and then visualize. So they come and ask how many people are women, how many are from Mukono, how many are from the north. You already have the intelligence. It's called intelligence. And then you can even predict how many are going to finish on time, how many are going to not finish. But we are just using data science, you know. Even government, most people fear the USA, but it's because they have intelligence. They have a data department which is called CIA, Central Intelligence Agency. So all they do is collect data, manipulate it, come to the president and say, from the data we have, I think Iran is on us. But it's not like they have real stuff, but they just collect intel or data. So when you look at data science as a lifestyle, it becomes very easy for you to use it in any discipline. If you are here working on that thing, you know I'm just going to collect, whether I'm collecting data from a hospital of people who have cancer, whether I'm collecting data from the soil, it doesn't matter. I'm going to manipulate it, visualize it to remove maybe some things, see anomalies, see patterns, and then I can also what? Predict. That is what they call machine learning. So when you have the basics and the principles, you can take it to academics, take it to media, take it to fashion, take it everywhere. It should be looked at as a lifestyle. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Andrew has talked about data science as a lifestyle. And when Madam Justin was speaking, she mentioned linkage. My question is now to Mr. Opio. I know you've interacted with several innovators. I want you to, we also have several innovators here. Where are the gaps, right? Because I know, like, for example, now, as a lecturer, you sit on panels for final year projects, and it's almost like you see the same thing year in, year out. Looking at AI, we always call it innovative, disruptive. Where are the gaps? Where are those areas that you think Uganda as a country can benefit from? I was hoping it doesn't fall on. So where are those gaps? Yeah, I know you interact daily. You interact with several innovators that have amazing ideas. Where are those gaps to innovators here, to future innovators, in the context of Uganda? What areas do we really need to look at? What areas are still untapped that innovators here should look at? And if, after he responds, if there are any other contributions to his response, please feel free to contribute.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Like it was mentioned earlier, my name is Solomon Opio. One other thing that was not mentioned is that I also lead the Google Cloud developer community for Kampala. And our focus has been around things, data science and also and machine learning. We actually have a platform. Now, if I was given an open book, I would have talked more around the learning, where we actually have a platform called Quick Labs, where you can go and learn things around big data or data, like Andrew mentioned, so depending on which school you went to. So we have a whole lot of material that we can use to actually, help us learn and understand deeper. the focus has been more with, cloud technologies and all that. I want to take you back to the times we just started. Some people already know, like it was mentioned, I've come here several times. So maybe I also mentioned this, that I happened to be in the lot of the first software engineering students in Makerere University. So that time, that was around, I think we left, not thinking, we left the university. We graduated in 2014, so we left the university in 2013. You would hear very little about things, data science, and for us, the first introduction, the first robotics class that we did, we really struggled. I remember in my final year project, we worked on a solid waste management system, but we had to go and look for Arduino boards and every other component that we needed to build this. We had to import from China. They arrived after we had presented. We had already finished, and we were only told, if you have the concept and you can come and present. We shall not penalize you for what is beyond you. So we see that, first of all, when it comes to robotics, it's not like building hardware. It's not like building software where you only need your computer and software to build. You have to use a lot of, those components and the gadgets to help you achieve. Now, you realize that it's not something easy to have. For us in Uganda, we pirate and, we have software. I used to tell people, I don't buy software. Whatever I need, I just, But you're not going to get hardware in the same way. You have to buy. If the university does not have, you're on your own, you cannot. I was very impressed when I arrived here, by the way, at 9 a.m. So we took this route, and I was really impressed to see that we have a full lab for robotics. So the challenge of having the hardware is one thing that has actually hindered the progress in building, building on robotics. So when it comes to, maybe I also have to mention, if I don't forget, that is something that we are working on right now. Very many people see the things, that what you have done as, rocket science. They do not see the gadgets, they do not see, a robot. And it's an area which has not been given really much attention because of scarcity. We do not have the components. I can tell you right now, we have them. But still, we do not have so much. In our days, we didn't have them. So, before I forget, I'll be talking briefly about the innovative bit of it. But to solve some of these problems, actually at DevFest, which I believe some of you have registered to attend on 3rd, this coming Saturday, we are going to be having DevFest. And we are going to be looking at, one of the presentations is going to be on machine learning and robotics. We are having one of the Google developer experts in machine learning coming to take us through this. And the other beauty is that we are going to be partnering with ARM to get us the Arduino boards and the components that we need to actually build on robotics. And this is going to be, now on Friday we are going to be he asked that we go to Makerere University. So if we don't talk about Uganda Christian University, which will of course now come in the picture. If I don't say we are coming here, don't feel bad that, you know. But we are going to be going to Makerere University, the College of Engineering and Design, because they've already been in talks with them. And also, we're also looking at having some of those boards and whatever we need set up at Motive, so that whichever student is interested in learning robotics and all that can go and, you know, interact with those boards. But also, we are going to be having several sessions around robotics, AI, and machine learning. So, definitely, we also have to talk about Uganda Christian University. Of course, one first excitement is going to be around what I've seen today. I did not get inside, but this could also be a place to be considered, so that we have more of these. The numbers that we have here may not be a very good representation of what we can actually do with robotics. Now, the last aspect. Whenever we build, the biggest challenge is thinking that we are coming up with all these just, you know, because you have something powerful and, you know, it's looking nice. And we forget, first of all, to actually think about solving a problem. When you're building on something, each and every innovation that we have here should be looking at solving a problem. That is something which is in most cases underlooked by innovators. I also told, I think, some of the students that the time we built a solid waste management system, I was invited about 3 times. So that's about 3 years. So I would go for ICS awards at Mbarara University and find people, you know, working on robotics. I was invited as a judge. And every time I go there, I find a solid waste management system of that kind. But, I mean, very many years ago, from 2013 up to now, how many do we see deployed anywhere? There's none. Because while we are building this, we are not thinking about what the exact problem is and how we can intervene to solve that problem. So it's a very key area that innovators need to look at. So I think, so majorly, availability of the components, availability of, thinking about the problem and the learning aspect of it. We do not know where to go to learn. One last one, I know I've really spent a lot of time. We have, recently, one of the students from Makerere University came to me and was telling me they have an elective. She was doing software engineering, and because I did software engineering, she was asking, what can I advise? She wanted advice around what elective to take. So she had embedded systems and I think that was mobile networks and computing. So one thing that we can see is when we do not, if you're going to take an elective like embedded systems, you'll definitely need to do more. You need those gadgets. So I simply advised her to get her hands dirty with robotics. Because when you come out, you can learn mobile networks and, you know, without having to, you can do it online. But if you're with a group of people who are doing, you know, dealing with more of the gadgets, that's knowledge that you will not find anywhere. So I encourage us to, first of all, embrace the different platforms that we have in order to help us learn, and also, while coming up with these innovations, think about solving a problem. Like it was mentioned, you don't want to be thinking about, things which are going to bring us, disaster and all that, harming humans, like you mentioned. Then a problem is very, very key. So we need to think about those. If I'm not asked again, please, I invite you to DevFest this coming Saturday. I think something is going to be printed for you to scan, register, and come for DevFest. And I know also transport is being organized for you to actually go there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Opio. Can we a round of applause for him? Hey, our Gbosa, please, 3 Gbosas for Mr. Opio. I'm not going to take that. 3 Gbosas for Mr. Opio. Okay, I want all our panelists to speak towards the readiness of Uganda, okay? And in terms of, as Mr. Opio was concluding, he talked about the potential of AI, to do wrong. How ready is Uganda in terms of managing AI? How do we put it under control? And we've heard of things like biased decisions. We've talked about increased inequality. We've talked about accountability. How ready is Uganda? Because we can get the knowledge all we want. We can innovate all we want. But how ready is Uganda to adopt this? And how ready is Uganda to regulate this? It's to all of us, so we can just take turns. We can start with Dr. Otto. And probably as you answer, you could also highlight, I'm assuming Andrew is representing the government in this case because of, but you can also highlight, as you talk about the readiness, you could also profile solutions that probably the government, probably UCU, probably civil society, probably entities like Innovation Village, what role they can play towards getting us closer to being ready, if we are not ready. Thank you.
Okay, I think the question of readiness is, if I may take you back to economics, you remember what is called demand and supply. So whenever there is demand, then we say something is ready for the supply. The supply can then happen. In terms of adoption of technology, the readiness is, I think, to me, in terms of the kind of problems that we have. So in Uganda, like any other place, we have so many opportunities for application of AI and related sciences. Because actually right now we are part of the integrated world. So we do not live in isolation. Look at, for instance, the penetration of mobile technology. You realize that Africa, for instance, was, I think, the number 1 in terms of the fast growth rate of mobile technology. So in the same way, we have so many things that we need the application of AI in solving. So many needs, so many problems, so many opportunities that we have. So in terms of readiness, yes, I say we're so much ready. Where do we get this? Almost everywhere. In a school environment, in the hospitals, in the transport industry. We are ready because as long as the customers are there, then going back to what I said, demand and supply, there is demand, and therefore there is opportunity. Wherever there is a challenge, how do we get machines to do things that we should be doing by ourselves? When you answer that problem, when you answer that question, you are saying, yes, there is readiness or there is opportunity. So I look at it as, already and opportunities everywhere. So in short, that's what I would say. Thank you.
Yeah, In terms of readiness, AI, machine learning, these are emerging technologies. So even on a global scale, like the machine learning that is really, really working is recommendation when it comes to software things, not hardware, is a recommendation. Like when you're on Jumia, then you buy this, then they recommend something, right? That's AI doing it. That's the one that is like really working on the high level. Others are being tried out, they fail. Text to speech is working, but it's like on 95. This is on a global scale. We are not yet on Uganda. So emerging technologies are very, very tricky. But the reason why other countries are going ahead of us, for example, a business like Google, when mobile phones came, they put a policy that every Google product should be mobile. It should be able to run on the phone. When AI came, they put a policy that every Google product should have AI in it. That's why if you have Gmail, it has those things. If someone sends you an email, it recommends something to reply. That is some AI in there. If you're on YouTube, they recommend for you videos. Google Lens can detect pictures and search for you, but it's because they made it a policy that all their products should have AI. Whether it's working or it's breaking, keep on pushing. For us here, we are leaving it to some special people in Kampala, But then my last point, so that is policy. You wanted me to talk about government. So we need like some form of policing whereby these things are enforced in one way or another, whether privately or on whichever level. My last point, all these technologies, they come from academia. So much as we enjoy technology from the Americans, it doesn't come from Silicon Valley. It comes from Stanford University. So it's the doctors who develop the AI. Then when it gets in the hands of the business people, they just start making money with it. But the people who are really doing the research, discovering all these things and making them happen, they are being funded in universities and places of what? Of academia. So here in Uganda, we have, what did you call it? The one in Makerere, that lab, AI lab. I'm seeing data science is coming to UCU.
Has come.
Okay, it has come to UCU. So it takes a lot of funds. People have been from like the 1990s. People have been trying to work on what is it called? Speech recognition, but it has taken years, but they still pump money into students. They now even have gray hair. They are no longer students. But then the government, the business people, they get all these things from what? From the universities, and then they start to monetize them. So if I'm to answer your question of readiness, when you look at our institutions of learning, do they have what it takes to develop? This is not a vaccine, AI. It's the same thing. If you look at our businesses and companies and our innovators, are they going an extra mile to say we are going to make this thing happen, whatever comes? So I'm putting it back to the researchers, the people who are learning and the innovators, making sure this thing works, because it's very hard. It takes time, it takes investment, it takes energy for it to come out. Yeah, thank you so much.
Before you hand over the microphone, someone that has handled several projects, what are those areas that you really want to see people take on that has been lacking? Those areas that you feel AI can influence in Uganda, but there is a gap, no one is looking at it.
Yeah, he talked about embedded systems.
When you say embedded systems, we are still saying big
okay.
words.
So in Uganda, we have a lot of agriculture. It's an agricultural nation. And agriculture is very physical. You are not going to do your data on the laptop and stuff like that. So people are creating devices which you can put in the soil. Those are the embedded systems, which you can put on a cow, which you can put on your wrist. So Uganda being a very agricultural, physical, we like tangible things. If someone has something tangible, they have already won. So I look at that as one of the biggest projects that we can tap into. And the Chinese have helped us. If you design something at $100, you send it to China, they create it for you, send it back here. So I feel like that is something that we can tap into. People in villages can adopt to those things and stuff like that. These other things might be way beyond us. And they might not solve immediate problems in our communities, our African communities.
Very much, Andrew.
Thank you, Ms. Ahile. I won't exactly say some of the things are way beyond us, like my colleague has said, but I'll start there. From the academic perspective, are we ready? Of course, if we are going to even think about whether we are or we are not, then we want to think about 3 positions. We want to look at the source. We actually want to look at the sustainability, and we want to think about the end goal. How exactly does it evolve when we get there? And so it becomes more of policy later then. And so whether we are ready. Why I think we are ready is because, one, the need is there. We have the need. We have the agricultural need. We have the health need. Thank you. We have the agricultural need. We have the health need. We have the education need. We have need all over the place. Now, when the world is now talking about inclusion, it's talking about people with who are differently abled being included. AI is becoming something to actually really talk about, to see all these people involved and engaged in computing in different avenues, in accessing services, even not to talk of basic government services, basic health services. And so the need is there. And so if the need is there, and we have all these several minds in so many universities, every other year we are churning out graduates. That means we actually have the minds that are able to think through and process the need and even create things. And that is the major reason why we are here today, to actually see the young minds coming up with these solutions. And so that means the source is there. We actually have the people who are able to create these things that can solve the actual problem of a farmer, the actual problem of my grandmother in the village who can't reach a health facility easily, to help this education student who is trying to access so much information at her go and try to make meaning out of it. And so the challenge now comes with the process of implementing this. That now this student has come up with this solution, but then there's a fear that even before this solution is deployed, then it has been picked by someone else and it has been used. And so now we are asking about policy matters, about issues of law. When we innovate and have all these solutions come on the market, how safe are they? If they are safe, how is this student who is innovating being motivated to actually motivate them more, so that they don't get out of university and that is it. They don't get out of college and that is it. They carry on this goal. The white world that we see with all these solutions coming up, it has been a year's journey, so many years, that the people have worked on an idea, it has been evolved, it has been maintained, it has been modified over time. And that takes deliberate investing. Deliberate investing, deliberate policies to actually support this. And so when we now look at the academic body today in Uganda, if we look at the public institutions and then you look at the private institutions, you will actually feel so sorry for the private institutions, because then they have to find a way of facilitating funding these innovations the hard way. If you don't get donations outside the country, what is the government doing? We have various ministries in this regard. We have various ICT bodies in this regard. And so it takes an initiative, a deliberate step for these bodies to say, okay, when this innovation is fronted by this institution, we come on board and fund. We come on board and facilitate. We come on board and bring even an extra player on the team so that we can see the checks looked at to make sure that this is usable. And so unless we see that involvement of government in academia, industry in academia, we are still going to create so many ideas and they will be on the shelf. And that is so devastating to a young mind that has put in nights of endless work to actually come up with a solution, and then it just ends somewhere. So I really think that Uganda has the potential to actually do this. The major issue is there a deliberate move to actually make this work? But also when it comes to ethics and the law, my colleague has just talked about a project they worked on several years, and as he moves around, he sees something of the same kind. Does it speak to us that we are actually recreating the same things or actually doing the same things? Maybe the other teams are changing a few things, and so it now comes back to academia to talk about disseminating what we are doing. You will actually realize that there's a lot of work going on in the institutions, but it is not known out there. So the dissemination of what we are doing, so that we can actually get so many people involved, possibly policymakers based on that, and then they start thinking about the rules, the policies to put in place, the laws to enforce, so that they can actually aid the growth of this area, the growth of this discipline. But if you ask me whether we are ready, I actually think we should be ready. Why we should be ready? Now we are looking at almost every sector being manned by technology. We are now seeing AI going to theater. People are being now operated using this. We are now seeing smart houses. That someone is not at home but is able to control things at home. We are seeing the security, which is now becoming a major issue even in our country, becoming an issue of AI. But now, when it actually becomes that issue, what are we doing about it? And I think that is now why we, as you see, we are trying now to say, okay, let us do the best we can. And then as we identify the tall relatives, the tall people, we ride on their shoulders and we get there. And that's now where we start talking about partnerships, talking about the projects that government bodies are doing so that we can incorporate the universities in there. And not just the public universities, but also the private institutions, so that we have the synergy of that helping us grow.
Very much. Thank you very much.
Okay, it's very hard to come and say we are not ready when a number of us have said we are ready. Unfortunately, I think we are not ready. So in the context, now to a bigger extent, we are not ready. In the context of what has been mentioned, in terms of the opportunities that we have, we are ready to start exploring. To start. So that means, now, why I'm saying that is because we have people who are trying to do. If you're to ask, how many places have you seen, things, robotics, AI, and all that being done, compared to how people are building, developing software, and all that. So, again, I do not want to overturn what has been mentioned. Remember, I said, in the context. Now, these guys who are building all these things, in most cases are now seen as, geniuses. You're doing something. I saw one of the pictures posted on Twitter, where there was a what? One of you had built a robot that would sense a wall and get this side. It finds something there, moves the other side. We need to begin asking, why are we doing that? Why are we building that? Yeah, it could be out of excitement and certain things are being fixed and all that. But then, if you now get, I'm not rubbishing what has been done. I'm not. That was a brilliant idea. So it's just about the thought. Just in case you did not think about that. There are certain things which are very easy for us to do, and and that could be any other example, not the one I saw. Certain things may have been built. Now, can we get to the practical, to the reality of what is needed by the Ugandans? Like most of us have said, there are so many opportunities, and we need to begin thinking along that line. Unfortunately, I don't know if Ugandans are a bit lazy, but look at what is happening in other countries. So, for us as Ugandans, we should see that as a very big opportunity for us to actually begin exploring things that we do not see here. First of all, in those countries, they may have actually fewer problems than us. Now, if you have so many problems as Ugandans, those are opportunities. Can we begin utilizing that to, come up with something, build on something? I remember the time I don't know if that technology has, reached here, but we had, it may have. When I was in the US, and I was being picked from the airport to my hotel, and you reach somewhere, and Google tells you, please slow down. An accident has been reported ahead, and you just move a few meters, you find the place is cordoned and all that. Very many other things. If you attend things like Google I/O, you look at what they are coming up with every year. Now, we are not yet there. Why? Let's forget the element of, remember I said I don't know if Ugandans are lazy. But one thing I know is that we have limited access to resources. But again, we are not aggressive enough to tap into what the other people are doing. So for me, the encouragement for us is to begin looking at these opportunities, find solutions on how we can actually get there and solve the problems that we see. Then we can begin moving in that direction. But we are not doing enough, and that puts us in a bad place. We are not doing enough to get there. I believe, yes, I talked about having, to use the components and all that, and you cannot access them. But if we begin like doctor mentioned, if there is demand, there is supply. So can we get out there? Can we be more aggressive and get Uganda ready for these opportunities? Opportunity-wise, we are ready, very ready. But can we now build these systems? No, we are not.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Round of applause. Yeah, thank you. We are going to just put a pause on the panelists, and we're going to open up for questions. In the interest of time, we're only going to take 3 questions. So if you have a question, you can just raise your hand and a microphone will be given to you. So as we do that, allow me to appreciate the acting head of department of Visual Arts and Design. Thank you very much, Ma, for being with us. They actually have an exhibition starting today, but she has decided to join us. We're very grateful. Thank you very much, Ma. I also want to appreciate our colleagues from Mbale campus, both students. No, let me start with staff. Dr. Liu, thank you very much for being here. Mr. Wanda is also around. He just excused himself briefly. Let us please appreciate Dr. Liu. I also want to appreciate MIS staff that are here today. Thank you very much. Please wave so they can see you. They don't know who I'm talking about. Thank you very much. I also want to appreciate a representative from Uganda Partners. Thank you very much. I also want to appreciate our MIT students. It's not easy to get these people here on a Wednesday. So thank you very much, our MIT students, and also all the staff of the Department of Computing and Technology. Thank you very much. And of course, all the students that are exhibiting today. We are grateful. 3 questions. Any 3 questions? Okay, 1, 2. We have 2 hands, so just 1 more. Okay, 3 questions.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. My name is Jonathan. I work for Uganda Partners, and we are part of the team that is trying to support, to raise some support here and there for the department. So specifically the robotics side of things. So we're very excited to be here and to see what is going on, and we look forward to continuing the conversations and see how we can support further. Thank you so much to our panelists and for the enlightenment that you've given us in these conversations moving forward. I come from the social science side, my interest or expertise in public policy. And as you talk about innovation and you having conversations moving forward, I'm curious, and maybe just an idea that I could suggest to the department, to have also another team of students that is multidisciplinarily looking at the social science side of things. What does innovation look like in light of the Ugandan culture? What is the culture of innovation as we move forward? But also to bear the fact that Uganda is a highly political country. And so there's politics to everything. And you can have a wonderful, innovative idea, or a classic example is what Dr. Musenero is dealing with. And most people don't quite understand what she's dealing with. And there is a lot of politics involved in that. And so you need a team of either students or faculty from the social science side who are helping to navigate these kinds of dynamics to help you deal with what is the culture, what is the population that is engaging in innovation or in artificial intelligence. What do they spend their time with? Is it betting? They have the phones, but it's betting and whatever and all that. So how do we involve that from the team of the social science side? And when I say social science, people tend to think that it is just one course. There is also multidisciplinarity in social sciences. What social workers are asking is different from what public administrators are asking. It's different from what development studies are asking. So to have those people in the same room and to further that conversation moving forward. But also to capitalize on the local partnerships that are coming up. And I'm really glad for the teams that you're bringing forward to be able to see what is happening in Makere, what is happening in other innovative ideas and labs and hubs that are happening across Kampala, and to see how those can enrich the experiences of our students. But also as we engage with this, to be mindful of the ethics of innovations, the ethics of artificial intelligence, and what does ethics look like in the era of innovation and research. And to have our students wrestle with these kinds of questions, but also what does the Christian faith look like in light of innovation? Are we becoming new gods in our own innovations? What do we think about that? And to argue these kinds of questions from the place of, we don't know all the answers, but let's engage with them. We could be wrong on a whole host of things, but let's engage with them. At least let's have a space where we can talk about these kinds of things and see how we move forwards. But this is a good starting place. I really appreciate being part of the conversations, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. I don't know if that was a question or a contribution. Okay, thank you. Okay, let's have all the comments, questions at once, and then we'll have our panelists respond and give their parting shots.
Good afternoon. Yes, mine would be going to Mr. Pio. I've met him several times at the Innovation Village. However, they have done a great job. I work with Zoo Technologies, the owners of Omni Student Card. That's all possible because I moved out to Innovation Village. What about other colleagues that cannot manage to get space at the Innovation Village? How I wish you still take the Innovation Village out to universities. Like this year, we are meeting science, maybe technology team of UCU, next year to other universities. I think that would be a great opportunity. The space is not, it's a bit expensive for someone who has just moved out of campus to have that innovation move ahead. Or you'd still have another room. Maybe students of, there's a program called CIT, I think. You had a room like from 4 up to 8. CIT students, you can meet in the boardroom. I think that would also be better for universities to have a special room at Innovation Village than just keeping it there out of the students. How I wish that one would be catered for. Thank you.
Thank you. I think I also want to supplement his question. Other than taking Innovation Village to universities, how about remote areas too? Taking it all over Uganda.
Right, thank you. Thank you. I just want to appreciate our panelists and the entire members here in the house. One, I was so curious in hearing on how I've been hearing the panelists trying to bring out their discussions. So one, how are we helping the students, apart from bringing the discussion in the room, how are we helping the students bring out this outside, also the room, instead of these discussions ending here? How are we helping us to bring it in life? Because I realize this is my first time being in this in such gathering. So I was asking myself, how best would you help us to bring this in real life? You know, the students are ready to do whatever innovations that we have, but how is the university or plus the authorities helping us out to bring it out? Then two, I would just love to ask, how are we helping out, you know? Most times we come with innovations, but at the end time, they tell you this is not matching the standards. How are we incorporating the team that is in charge of the standards? For example, IEEE, being part of these innovations from stage 1 when we start off with our innovations, such that when something doesn't match the standards, I don't waste my energy in coming up with a product, and then at the end you kick it out. I hear the standards are not matching with what's required. Yes, that could be my question and maybe my contribution.
And your name?
My name is Moses Obley from UCU Mbali College.
Thank you very much, Moses. So, okay, one last question. After that, I'll allow the panelists to respond to any of the questions or comments they want to respond to and also give their parting shots.
Yes, mine is not much of a question, but a few comments and observations that I've made. As a student of engineering or a student leader, I should say I've gone out there, participated in different things, and most recently, I participated in a Digital Ambassadors program, and I was part of the people that went to Policy Uganda to try and develop this program to suit students. But I feel like the first gap that needs to be filled is interesting the students, because there's so many students out there who have ideas, but then people are asking, why should I put this idea here? I have a classmate, for example, doing civil engineering, but he's so good in IT, but he didn't do IT because he has been told that really there's not much job opportunity there. There is like, there's this bias that we get at an early age. So how do we remove that bias from like the students' minds so that they're able to participate in this? But then also we see another challenge is the job market. Students currently believe that if we create these probably robots or participate in AI and all that, what will happen to us? If a robot is now doing my work, what will happen to me as a student? Where will I get a job? I happened to visit roofings, and machines were the ones actually doing this work. Someone would just go and put a command in the machine, and it's the one now doing the work, which people were doing. So someone asked themselves that, okay, now if I innovate something, won't I lose my purpose? So how do we fill that gap so that students don't feel like what they're doing is going to eliminate them from the system, but instead keep them in the system? Then I believe that someone was talking about the government. Maybe instead of, the government has many more opportunities for students at master's level compared to bachelor's level, where I believe that our growth and specialization starts at the bachelor's level. If I have done civil engineering right now, it will be very hard for me because now times are changing. You need to get a life, make a living. That's the whole propaganda that we have. So it will be very hard for me to go and probably change. Remember that not very many of us have parents who can sponsor like 3 degrees in different fields. But if the government could also incorporate, for example, like a student who has come from high school, they have these ideas, probably hold like a competition or something, see what these students have in mind, then sponsor this student, get out of the country, learn, and then come back to Uganda. For example, South Africa has the African Leadership Academy, where they get students, they sponsor them, they learn, but they're given a condition that what they have learned, they need to come back and incorporate it, either in South Africa or in their respective countries that they come from, so that they leave an impact, so that this sponsorship that they're given actually makes sense. So if we could get such a system in Uganda, I believe we could go further in advancing AI and making the whole IT, environment better. But then I think lastly, I probably have a write-up, but I think lastly also, we have IT students, for example, in UCU. And then we have so many other different courses. The first gentleman spoke about the fact that every discipline, every field has different needs, different IT needs. So if you probably got a student, I don't know if the IT students also do research and projects, but you could get a student, attach them to probably law or, I don't know, engineering or the social work, and say, identify the IT gap in this particular area, in this course. What is the gap there? And you as an IT student, how can you work with this social work student to, find the problem, get a solution? And I believe that way we'll be incorporating the 2 fields, but then also this IT student is able to grow their idea that way, instead of probably going in the same line, and then now we have so many people and then there's competition. But if we think about it that way, I believe that we could also reach further. Thank you so much.
Your name.
My name is Atugabire Magdalene.
Right, thank you very much, Maggie. Before we hand over to the panelists, let me appreciate the presence of our DVC academics, Reverend Professor John, let me say John K. I will not be able to pronounce the last name, but we're honored to have you in our midst, and we value your time and presence. Thank you, sir. So our panelists, response and your parting shots. We can go in any order.
Okay, since I have the microphone, maybe I could seize the opportunity. Thank you very much. First of all, I want to add my voice to welcome and thank the DVC. This DVC was also head of department after my tenure, so he was the immediate follower after me. So thank you very much, and I'm happy to see you, John. Yeah, Jonathan talked about the need for having to understand social science and how to have them contribute towards our various innovative, innovation directions, which I think is something very important. We need to, because here we are talking about interdisciplinarity, so we need to get the IT, the computer science, the engineers to understand the social implication of whatever they do, but also to understand the environment that can provide them opportunities that they need, for which they need to provide solution. So what is here important is what we call ethnography. So ethnographic studies, the skills, ethnographic skills need to be imparted into our students. How to get into the society, immersing yourself in, to feel like them, and getting to understand what they are, what kind of challenges, the general lifestyle, the culture of the people. Then that will inform you what kind of IT solution that is needed. I do understand, and I want all of you to know that different societies have different cultures. Let me give you an example of one thing. I was in England for more than 3 years, but unlike here, it's very, very, very rare for you to get a phone number of anybody. In Uganda, you can just meet anybody and then ask what's your phone number, and they will give you. If you go deep into what this means, there's a lot of issues around this, and all that can only be made, we can only understand that if we work with the social scientists or we understand them. So again, you know that IT or any technology solution that we provide will definitely have to work with the people. So we are not going to have technology solution working with the machines. But the machines we are developing, the solution we are developing will work with the people. So the aspect of the people should really be very central in our thinking. Then Moses, I will leave out Ezra because my colleague will talk about it. But Moses talked about helping the students to get into the real life situation. I think one of the things that we need to do is to expose our students. The exposure will be important. Exposure can be done in different ways. Recently, we have a research group, the three of us, Dr. Elio, Madame Tahemba, and myself. We're trying to experiment something to let our MIT students try to finish their research early. So one of the things that we were doing to enable them get more insight into what happens outside. For instance, before putting up this, we had to play them some videos, to give them some links to see how things are done elsewhere. So I think we need to get to know what happens out there. Out there may not only be out of the class, but also out of our bigger geographical environment, like out of the country. So this will, to me, give you an opportunity to understand what the real life situation is. But again, having to understand that you need to know more than what is in your field. And that's why we're talking about interdisciplinarity. It will help you to know what the real life is about. So by exposing our students elsewhere, the kind of problems that are in place, helping them to coin or define problems that they can work on, I think will help them that way. That's for my colleagues to respond. Thank you very much.
Okay. The second speaker, I think the first one was more of, that wasn't a question, but he gave very, very good points, which also has been talked about briefly. To the next one that talks about the innovation hubs and all that, trying to support students, like the CIT program that was talked about. So first of all, the innovation hubs, we should also understand that they're doing business. So when they do business, they can only allocate time to people coming from outside. If you look at the Innovation Village is in 4 regions. And every time I went to every region, because I go to meet software developers and all that, and they're telling me, we can't come to this place, if we're looking at students can't afford to, pay for space. So there's what they call the community pass. But also, as part of supporting community, there are some of those components that you say, for example, you have the Google developer groups. They always meet at the Innovation Village. So what you're going to do is basically say, we are going to allocate time to specific people who are probably working on a project, and part of there's already a partnership with the Google developer groups or any other community that you can think about. So that component is there. But if you say, come in at any time, any day, then you're going to find that place very crowded. Actually, as part of, again, supporting that, I can tell you we partnered with Kanzu Code, and there's a coding program that was running. Now, that was with the Innovation Village, and I think they're meeting today. But there was no space for them at the Innovation Village. So I had to take them to Motive. So they're meeting from Motive. So if you do not have, if the Innovation Village did not have Motive, Motive is makers of the Innovation Village. They have bigger space than the Innovation Village. So if you get there, there's much bigger space. So those are still challenges around the space. But in case you need support from those hubs, you can always reach out to them. I don't think they will say no. If it falls under technology, you can come to me. I remember, I think 2 days ago, there was a lady who could not access that place because of they've been having kids. Some people come with kids, and they're running everywhere, and she was told not to enter. So when I came, of course, we had to talk to these guys and find something. So there's always a solution. It's not like, now, what you don't know, if you do not ask, you will not know. So there is actually support for these guys. Then talking about, my colleague already talked about building innovations for real life and all that. So again, in terms of, if I'm just to build a bit on what he mentioned about the exposure, this event is one of those that can actually help. I'm surprised it was mentioned that this is is it the first time something like this is happening? So please, continue having this. It's one of the avenues that you're going to have people come and support. I've come here several times before, but I'm invited for an event, and I go straight to that, I go straight to the room, have my talk, and go away. Interact with the people, go away. Now today, I was going to come to this place, have this event. Yes, I know now there are things around robotics, people are building serious things. But if I had not walked the other side, I wouldn't have known that there's a robotics lab. And remember now, this is, just imagine I came, the last time I was here, if I was told there's a robotics lab, I think I had this conversation with about 3 days ago, and we planned on which places to visit: Makerere University, the Innovation Village, Motive, to see how they can support with the boards. If I had come earlier and I was told about this would have been another place we would be visiting, but it did not happen. So if we have more of these events, we get to know, and we have the lead for the Google Developer Student Clubs just behind there. How the Google Developer Student Clubs work is that apart from having the students come and support each other, they are actually experts who can be picked from out. I happen to be the mentor for the Google Developer Groups and the Developer Student Clubs. And I keep telling them, if you need a facilitator or someone to come here, just reach out to me. I'll get you an expert to come and deliver a session. And many have benefited already. So, the exposure is not only about showcasing, but every time you do this, people are coming in, seeing what you're doing, and okay, they take that out. People get to know. The bias of, talking about interesting students. I think I didn't get the name, but who? Yes, Magdalene. So she mentioned about the bias. People are saying, if I invent this, I think you were talking about job loss. You build this and people lose their jobs. Now the thing is, every innovation that we can think about, even if it's not a technology innovation, it can still be tech-enabled. So while we think about innovations, we can still think about using technology. Now that means we are now encouraged to be innovators other than job seekers, looking for employment and all that. Of course, we shall always have people who are looking for employment, but think about something that you will call this your product, and that is your innovation. You will make money out of that. If you think there is something out there that you cannot build, probably you're going to make people lose their jobs. That's not your business. Now, it becomes their business. Can they think about something? Can they innovate around something? So there are very many innovations out there, and again, we can always, I think, just as a last one, along that same line, there is what, I know Andrew has taken people through the things, design thinking. You do not have to think about a solution. Why solutions have been failing is because we think of something and think it's brilliant, and we begin building. But for you to come up with an idea, you can actually start by going to speak to people in the community. Look at opportunities and build around that. So that we shouldn't think that we cannot come up with ideas. I think that's what I can speak about. In terms of standards, someone asked about standards and not thinking. Things around you build something and you realize that the standards are, not matching and all that. It takes us again to those collaborations. Involve many people. The idea of thinking that when you come up with an idea, someone is going to steal that idea. I'm sorry to use this word, rubbish. All you need to do is implement. And in fact, if you do not share that idea, you cannot have feedback that can actually help you build it. A person who sees your idea and tries to, implement is not thinking the same way like you. And they say, every innovation out there has already been done by someone. And if we understand that, then we're going to begin, Yeah, I would have a lot. I always talk a lot, but let me pass.
Thank you. First of all, I want to add my voice to the previous speakers and appreciate the presence of Professor Chitayimba. I must say that he's one of my mentors, he's one of my teachers, and working around him opens many gaps. In line with what we're talking about, I don't want to say what has already been said, and also considering we have already talked about a number of these things earlier. But to speak to two things. One, how are we interesting the students? One, we have a number of seminars that run. Sometimes we do communicate this on webmail, on all the UCU channels. So when an activity is happening, like a seminar, like a workshop, like such research dissemination events, we do communicate. So that's one way of actually getting people, students, to come and see what's happening. Because many times we get interested in things after we have seen or heard about what is going on or what is happening. So students should actually be out looking at such information and get involved. But also, the website has a lot of this information. The department website does have this information. And so we try to actually pull a number of students in. And that is how the Praxis Challenge was hatched. To try and bring a number of programs on board where we have all these different programs actually participating. When the lady was mentioning the issue of different problems in the different faculties, in the different programs, I actually just say to myself, Praxis is your solution. And because why I say this is, you're not going to say this is just a problem for law, this is not just a problem for ICT, this is just a problem for agriculture. Like one of the colleagues has said, if I am out there in the community and I first establish the problem, then we can categorize it as we find the solution. Is it a law issue? Is it an ICT issue? Is it an agriculture issue? But bringing these different players on the teams actually helps to explore the minds of these different disciplines. As you move around today, you realize that some teams have a lawyer, have a business participant, and so you're asking them, is this project really legal to start with? If we do this, aren't we stepping on toes? Aren't we breaking the law? If there's a business person on the team, you're asking them about the business idea behind this. Does it actually apply to the market? Even without just talking about the IT component that is making things happen. Because ICT is an enabler. It is just supposed to enable all these different disciplines actually roll out and function. And that is why we are bringing all these players on board. One thing that I must say as part in short, one thing that we have been hearing, even from the start of the conversation, is the isolation of academia, the industry, and policymakers. And so once those continue to be isolated, then we can't listen to what the other team is saying to help out to bridge the gap. If academia is saying we have these innovations, and then the industry is not hearing it because they're isolated, then where are we going to apply this? Where are we going to actually implement this if it's not the industry? But if we do apply it in the industry, I think that's where the issue of standards comes in. What is the policy saying? what are the rules around it? If we are talking NITA, trying to look into issues, do they even know that this is happening? So for me, academic institutions just have to deliberately find this collaborative strength to work not only with the different universities, but also to work with the different players there are, to work with the industry players, the people who are actually going to consume our solutions, to work with the people who are managing the policy, so that we can actually see to it that whatever we are coming up with is aligned to the needs thereof. But when we talk sustainability, and when we talk about these ideas actually making sense and actually coming to feed a need in community, then definitely we just need, as academic institutions, to make a deliberate move on research and say, research is taking this a priority, and so we see it being deliberately prioritized in terms of time, in terms of the human resource there involved, in terms of the activities involved to actually nurture the research, in terms of the funding for research. But like my colleague said, if we have nothing to do, then why should we actually ask for the funds? And so that is where then the need for us to open our eyes and go to the community and find the problems thereof, so that then we bring the ICT where it is needed. Thank you.
Yeah, we are running out of time. I'm going to use just a few minutes. The gentleman who commented on social sciences, it really caught me. But inherently, all these technologies have that component as part. But we are the ones who spoil the innovators. For example, for you to be a data scientist, you need to be good with three things. You need to know how to write some code. You need to know statistics and mathematics. But then you need to also understand the domain in which you are doing your data science. So the domain is where we have the legalities, the politics, the social science. But when you come to an innovator now, I read something to do with NSSF on this solution. For them, they are going to be thinking about their code, their data, their laptop, and all those things. But they don't know you are dealing with politics, savings, and NSSF, and whatever. There's a lot of politics in there. There's data privacy. You are dealing with people's information. There's financial things you have to fill because you are dealing with money. There's people you are dealing with elders. There's a lot to do with the domain. So if you are a judge, that's why the papers you gave us, don't just put product and all those things. Put impact. Put all those things which are going to cause people to look at the non-technical aspect of the solution, things like legal, social, and stuff like that. So they are already in there, but people just don't follow them. But every technology is always having its ethics, social things. They are always there. There's that keenness by the researchers and the people in the academics who create these things. Then the person who talked about I think it was how to help students. There's something that I read somewhere. Students will either need to explore, or they need to get a job, or they need to innovate. And the innovation part is where we have the least number. Most people are here in UCU to explore. Our education system rarely prepares us to know what we want. So you try out things, or you like something. You say, let me go to law school because I speak good English. I was good at literature. So you find you are here to explore. Of course, you will not know. Or you really know what you want. You are here to become a lawyer. You know, that is scholar. You know, I want this job. But then There are other people who don't fit in any of those two brackets. They want to innovate. Can I create legal technology which can use AI and predict a case and those things? But those are very few. So you find most of the resources, time, energy, we give it to people who want jobs. And then the explorers, the tourists, of course, for them, they will go through it. It's obvious. But then someone who comes in to innovate, they are not going to find facilities for research and development. Opio told you you can't do research and development at the innovation village. They want people who have reached somewhere, who can bring in money. So it brings that chaos. And when she was talking about jobs, I felt like she was looking at from the perspective of someone who wants to go through the system to get a job. Because there is nothing that creates more jobs than innovation, actually. One of the advantages of innovation is that it creates more jobs. Even when it looks like it has taken them away, it hasn't really done so. Like Uber, 2 million people lost their jobs, but about 400 million people started using their cars to do what? To offer the same service. So on paper, you might feel bad for someone who is a taxi driver, but then 1,000% has gotten what? Access to that. So innovation is inherently a job creator. Yeah, I think that's all I wanted to talk about. Thank you so much.
Right, thank you very much. Thank you very much to all our panelists. Thank you very much, Madam Justin. Thank you very much, Mr. Opio. Thank you very much, Dr. Otto. And thank you very much, Mr. Tugume. Can we have 3 gbosas for our panelists? With energy. I know it's lunchtime. We're going to have refreshments soon. But 3 gbosas for our panelists. Thank you very much. A lot of credible points to note. I like the fact that my acting head of department is here. I like the fact that our DVC academics is here. Ultimately, we don't want it to stop here. We want to see how we can amplify the wisdom, the wealth of wisdom that has come from our panelists today, and see how to better position UCU and also create more opportunities and enrich the learning experience for our students. So round of applause for our panelists. Thank you very much. Please feel free to take your seats. The round of applause. It's not easy to sit here, climb up, dash out all this wisdom, and then walk back. Thank you very much. We are grateful. So they will still be around for those of us that want to have one-on-one interaction with them. They will still be around, and they will also be going through some of the work on display and try to enrich our research, okay? Allow me to invite our DVC academics. Our father can't be here without speaking or blessing us, whether in the intellectual part or the spiritual part is capable. So let's invite our DVC academics to just give us a brief remark. A round of applause for him, please.
Good afternoon to you, ladies and gentlemen. Praise the Lord. When I received the invitation, they told me to come and have a look around. So I had come to have a look. And so I am not prepared to speak, but let me say something. And I have just caught a few of the conversations. But from what I have caught, let me start with a story. There is a community, a pastoral community. It is in the northern part, the northwestern part of Africa. It is in Morocco, but it's a pastoral community. And in that pastoral community, they were helping, and they wanted people to be vaccinated. But they also wanted animals to be vaccinated. And so they did campaigns for both the people and for the animals. But what was surprising is that 98% of the animals in that area were all vaccinated. People brought them and they vaccinated them. However, only about 12% of the people chose to be vaccinated. And so they started spending a lot of money. And they sent scientists, they got scientists from the US, they got scientists from within West Africa and North Africa to go and find out what was really wrong. But despite the massive campaigns, the percentage of people who were willing to be vaccinated did not improve significantly. So after a long struggle, they got a social scientist to go and have a look at what is happening in this area. And so when the social scientist went and administered a few questionnaires, one of the key questions he wanted to find out was why people were willing to vaccinate animals but not themselves. And the people responded and said, these guys, when they come to vaccinate us, they have a feeling that it is them who heal. Can you imagine they vaccinate us without saying, Bismillah? So they think it is not God, but themselves. And so the social scientist went and said, please retrain your nonsense very quickly. And tell them that as they vaccinate, before they vaccinate, they should say Bismillah. And then people will be vaccinated. And the moment they did that, within months, many people came to be vaccinated. I don't know whether that makes sense. Sometimes as scientists, you are lost. And you are lost in the science, you are lost in the algorithms, and you don't really know that these algorithms work as part of a community. And so in order to understand, you need the social scientists, you need the lawyers, you need all those people around, because that's when you can really provide a solution that is needed. And so the idea of multidisciplinary research, I think it is what you are trying to describe here. Now, if I am a mathematician, if I apply for a grant, it is very hard for people to fund me, because if I am a mathematician, what am I going to do? I also see people who publish very poor papers nowadays. I don't even read them. If I find Dr. Otto has published a paper and is alone on the paper, or they are two only, I don't feel like reading it. Unless I read that he was invited because of his expert opinion to publish that paper, that's when I can read it. But otherwise, two people, what do they know? It is better you publish a paper like 15 people, because then I am sure that that work has been carefully scrutinized by different people having different expertise. And so the conclusions they arrive at might be more important than the ones I arrive at as an individual. I don't know whether we still have, I haven't looked at the posters. I hope we don't have a poster where there is one person who has done the work. However good it is, I will not look at it, because I know it might be useless. Because this is the generation, and this is a time for what we call multidisciplinary research. Praise the Lord. I found something very interesting at, do we have some people from the School of Business? I don't want to say it when they are here. Do we have some people? You know those people in the School of Business, they have what they call an innovation hub. Is it called the innovation? Is it the innovation hub? I visited it once, I have never gone back. I don't think I'll ever go back again. Because those people do innovation in a very funny way. You find students who are doing business, they start by, because they want to be the inventors, they want to be the business people, they want to be everything. And so you find them, they are manufacturing soap, and then they are saying they are innovating. What is manufacturing soap? Is that an innovation? Huh? What about, I don't mean to embarrass you, but I've seen them. I've seen them making necklaces. Is that the innovation we want from a university? We want to say we have innovated and we are selling necklaces? Come on, what will people in Owino do? This is a knowledge industry. What we want is to generate new knowledge and we want to sell new knowledge. And for you as people from the School of Business, please take back this message, that you as people from the School of Business, maybe your area of expertise is how to sell, how to brand, how to market. And then we have some geeks who are in the Department of Computing and Technology. For them, they don't even know how to talk to people, but they are good at coding. They are good at coming up with very good solutions. And so we need somebody from business, teaming up with me, the geek in computing and technology, and maybe somebody from law, so that we can come up with the solution that is required. I thought that was important to talk about. Secondly, this is an unfortunate thing. You know myself, I am a data scientist. And I came because I saw the word data science, and I said I needed to come because that is my area. And you know we are in this period that is called the fourth industrial revolution. And when you read about it, they tell you that one of the biggest drivers of the fourth industrial revolution is going to be what we call big data. But unfortunately, Africa, as usual, we have chosen to take the easy path, and we have chosen to be at the peripheral of data science. We have chosen to be the consumers rather than the innovators. I was in Botswana last week, and I was there with some people from the Uganda Communications Commission. And I was engaging them, and I was saying that, do you know how much big data you have as the Uganda Communications Commission? Do you know how useful that data could be to this country? Are there any decisions, for example, as we are coming up with that planning, what is that plan called? That plan 3, what is it? National planning, the national plan 3. Is it plan 3 or 4? We are in the 4th one. How have we used the data that we have to be able to inform planning? And the answer is that we are not using it. Do you know that we have been talking about Ebola and Ebola cases in Uganda? Do you know how the Ministry of Health thinks about Ebola? It looks at people who have been infected and those who have been cured. Have you seen the statistics they present? Is that the best way of looking at Ebola with the big data they have from the hospitals? I was telling people that if you want to know about the truth about Ebola in Uganda, just listen very carefully to the CDC, because the CDC, the people of the CDC, are using our data, and they are looking at it very critically and analyzing it. And if you hear the CDC warning the US citizens that there is a problem in Uganda, run very quickly, because they have seen what we have not yet seen as a country. Friends, one of the important skills that is going to drive or that is going to equip us and to get us ready for the fourth industrial revolution is what we call big data. Not just data, but big data. In my office, I have over 20,000 DNA sequences of HIV, and each of the sequences has about 1,200 base pairs. To analyze it, my laptop can't, that computer cannot. I need high performance facilities to analyze it. But if I am going to do anything with HIV data, I have got to have skills of big data science. And so when I saw data science, I think, Justin, that you are talking big data science. And I hope that these students are not talking about student enrollment and whatever, and they are looking at data science at the peripheral, but they are looking at big data science. Somebody who is doing computing at this time, you will be wasting your time if you are studying IT at the, what I call IT at the peripheral. You find yourself doing databases and whatever. Where are you going to use databases from? Do you know that people are going, I have heard somebody talk about Google. Do you know that in 20 years' time, we shall not be having any local servers in this country? It will be stupidity to have local servers at UCU. It will be much easier and much cheaper for you to store your data with Google, and they will do a much better job. And they're already doing it, isn't it? There is this facility in Namamve. What is it called? The one which is brought some server space, big server. Francis, you know it. Is it Roxio or something? Yes? Justin, what is that facility there? That is at the one that is opposite the Uganda. That data center. What is that data center called? Raxio. I think it is called Raxio. With Raxio in this country, does it now make sense for UCU to buy servers, big servers, so that we have a server room here and we employ you as a server administrator here? Does it make sense? Do you know that if I want to do a website now, a good website, do you know that I can employ somebody in China or whatever and they can do it in 2 days? Huh? So are those the skills that you are going to go away with? You need skills that are going to help you to be an innovator rather than somebody who is going to seek for employment. Friends, these skills are not going to be taught in school. They are not taught in school. They are not going to be taught in class. They cannot be taught in class. To be an innovator and to be a person who pushes the boundary, you need to be a person who will almost be self-taught or self-made. And I have heard about innovation. I have heard people talking about the innovation village. Let me tell you that for me, I have given you an innovation village here at UCU in front of my office. You see that space, that grass in front of my office? That is now your innovation village. I am going to put even what? I'm going to put chairs there so that you can come and sit there. Isn't that what you need? What else do you need? You need high performance computing facilities. We shall pay for them. What else do you need? To innovate. Or you need offices. You want a big office called an innovation hub. What else do you need? Because we want to provide it so that you can. Have you watched this movie called The Internship? You saw The Internship? Have you seen the Google campus? I think you have been to the Google campus. At the Google campus, they have very creative spaces. It is not like the traditional spaces. I don't like this kind of thing. I would like to have chairs where students are sleeping and they are innovating while sleeping, because today's generation of students, they don't want to sit like we sit, like Francis there. They don't like it. It is boring to sit like Francis is seated. But you want to sleep, and then as you are sleeping, you are writing code. As you are sleeping, you are doing something. But we want to have some of that at the university. And I want to promise that if the Department of Computing and Technology is willing to walk the talk of having a good innovation space within this university, and by space I mean not physical space. Don't come and say we want a building, but space in terms of what goes with the computing. We can include it in the next year's budget so that we start to run it almost immediately. Praise the Lord. I am sorry, my background is bad because I am a mathematician, I am a computational biology, but I'm also a reverend. So when you hear me saying praise the Lord, you don't get bored. Is that okay? And so I would like to commend this effort of the Praxis that you have brought. These are baby steps, but they are very important steps. I would like to tell you that I am one of your biggest supporters. If you bring something which has innovation on it, but real innovation, not the other innovation of business, I am going to support it fully. And we shall find the funding to make sure that that innovation is had. You know, one time I was still working at Makerere University, and the Vice Chancellor told all departments that they should come up with innovations. And then the physics department came up with an innovation. They said they are going to start a car washing bay. How can the physics department start thinking about washing cars? Is that innovation? So we really need real what? Innovation. We want to walk the talk. And if we are willing to walk the talk, we should support it. And Justin, we have the other, you know, when we studied the IT with Francis here, for us, when we studied mathematics and Francis, it was very frustrating because we would write code, but code would be theoretical. For example, if I wanted to design a robot, I would never be able to design a robot in my age. But now, do you know that we have facilities in this country that can allow you to move from code to a robot without leaving the borders of Uganda? Are you aware? And Justin and the department have just signed an agreement with that facility that we should work with them. And therefore, Justin, we shall need to see a lot of translation from the theory of computer science right down the pipeline of practice. And it will be very interesting to see how many of our theoretical computer science can get into practice, because we have now the ability to do it. Do you know that you now have the ability to design a laptop? In Uganda, at least we can design the motherboard in Uganda. Isn't it possible? I visited the facility there. Have you visited it, Francis? It is wonderful. It is one of the best thing that has ever happened to this country. But you know that it is like a museum now. People just go there to visit it, and when you visit it, you say it is wonderful. That is not the use of that facility. We need to get dirty. We need to get our hands dirty. And we need to be the first university that is going to make use of that facility. As I conclude, you know, I like big data. And I met one of the students. She finished economics and statistics. And she was the second best student in the July graduation. I met her about 2 months ago, 1 month ago. And then she's struggling there, and she's being employed. And now she's almost being turned into an administrator at KCCA. And so I said, but are your talents going to be used to be an administrator at KCCA and just entering data? Do you know entering data like this? That skill is no longer even relevant, because we have now the tools that can enter data without you entering the data for us. Whether it is spoken or it is written, we can get it into digital form. We don't need you anymore. And so when we talked with that student, I convinced that student to drop out of her job so that she can come back here. And I gave her an internship which is not paid for free. She's going to be working for me for free. An internship for free for 1 year, so that I can introduce her to big data. And then I can ensure that she's able to put some of her skills into good use. Now, I want to make an invitation. We have some people who can mentor here. I know Francis is here, Justin is here. We have some of the best data scientists in this country actually employed by UCU. Some of them are not here. Can we give a chance to these students and to these people who are willing to do it, so that as mentors, I think we should have mentors. We can meet these people outside the formal class. I don't like classes. Informal classes. That means this must be work over and above what you are going to do in your formal class, so that we can disrupt them, so that we can challenge them, so that we can show them some things they have never seen before, so that we can see whether out of those that come, we can get some innovators out. Because Uganda badly needs people that are going to innovate in this space. With those few many words, I would like once again to thank the department. I want to thank Justin. When Justin was a student, you know, she was a student like many of you here. One thing I remember about her is that she was very smart in the academically but also physically. And she did a project. But the project I still remember very well. That project was amazing. She did it very, very well. And I think it is one of the reasons why they say that Justin has to remain. I think that was the same year with Innocent in Dibatia. And it was the same year with Rebecca. Rebecca is no longer with us. But those students of that year were special. And we want to thank God that they are still here and they are still driving the department and the innovation at UCU. But I've also seen my daughter. Where is she? She has disappeared. She's on the other side. Tehemba, she did very well in her year. She was the best student overall. And in the IT, she did IT, BSIT. She got about 4.8 something. What was it? 8.3. Yes, 4.83. Top student. And so I'm very happy that these students are now teaming up with all the people like Francis, and they are causing a what? A difference. Why am I saying all this? I am saying all this because some of you are young and you are thinking that maybe nothing good will come out of you. I'm here to tell you that in 10 years' time, you will be the people standing and sitting up here, leading innovation at UCU, but not only at UCU, in all the other parts of the world. So let us arise and let us be bold. Let us be brave. Let us, you know, if you're going to be an innovator, when an innovator, you know, children are innovators. All of us are born as innovators. When you bring my daughter, I have a daughter who is about 2 years, 3 months. She's an innovator, great innovator. When she sees that chair like that, the first thing she will do is to just kick it to see what happens when it is kicked. But how many of you kicked your chairs when you came in? It is like you have been told that a chair should always be like that. When you enter, you sit, and you have conformed. Innovators are not conformers. Innovators are people who query and question the status quo. Because it is through questioning the status quo that you can be able to innovate and to discover new knowledge. And the university is a place where you are meant to discover and to generate new knowledge. We are here to support you once again, and we do understand the innovation space very well. Please, Justin, as the head of department, use it to the best of your ability. We want to thank you for coming. We want to thank the external facilitators who have come in to support us. These are people who are doing great work out there. And so when I see them here, I am saying, yes, these are the right people to talk to our students at this time. Thank you so much. To God be the glory.
Thank you so much, our dear DVC. At this moment, allow me to invite Maggie Atugabire to share votes of thanks on behalf of the students' body.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon to you all once again. Yes, my name is Magdalene Atugabire, a student of civil engineering here at Uganda Christian University. And as earlier mentioned, for those who are not around, I serve on the current guild government as the Member of Parliament for Engineering, Design and Technology, but also as the Deputy Minister of ICT. So I was asked to come and stand in for His Excellency, the Guild President-elect, Dumba Timothy, and I can say I don't regret this opportunity to come and be a part of this. I believe that as an engineering student, I'm not here to only represent myself, but I'm representing the whole faculty, my course-mates, and the different students even that I reached through the guild body. I think it's been a great session. I've gained so much knowledge, and I think my brain has been tickled to think about more and more ideas. And I want to encourage the different students that are here to go back and share this knowledge with their fellow students. Please don't sit on the knowledge that you have gained from here. Those ideas, please go and share them with the different students. You never know what might come up. And I think it's a really great and exciting thing to see here at UCU. I pray and hope that it will get bigger and better, and at the end of the day, we shall be a university that is the heart of excellence in the heart of Africa. Thank you so much. Have a blessed day to you all.
Thank you very much, Maggie. So we are going to just have a walk through the different exhibitions that are here. Our acting head of departments will lead the delegation. She will show our DVC academics, our panelists, and our acting head of department for visual arts and design. She will lead that delegation. So if you know you have something to display, please stand by your display. The DVC academics may have hot questions for you. I hope you also have hot answers. So over to you, Madam Justin. Please just position yourself and get ready. She will lead our guests and our leaders through the different displays. Thank you. After that, we will just break out for lunch. Doreen will tell us how we'll go about lunch. Sorry, can I just have your attention for 1 minute? There's someone we really need to appreciate that has been microphone shy. Can we please give a round of applause for Doreen Atukunda? She's right there. She has been the coordinator of this event, and we appreciate your leadership, and we say God bless you.